Superheroes, supervillains, and monsters come alive to form Atlanta's largest parade, the Dragon Con Parade.
Oh, look at this.
Looking at you, Atlanta.
And now, from downtown Atlanta, the 2024 Dragon Con Parade, sponsored by Netherworld on Atlanta's 69.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dragon Con Parade presented by Netherworld. We are coming to you live. I'm Jay Watson. Joining me, as always, is Brian Richardson. Brian, perfect day, perfect parade weather.
The sun is out, the fans are out, and we are in for yet another exceptional parade in downtown Atlanta on Peachtree Street.
So
it's great.
What are we looking for this year, Brian?
We're looking for a bunch of Fraggles. Some really cool vehicles, and Vegas is still working out the over-under on the Deadpool numbers, but I would bet on the high side. It's going to be a hot Deadpool summer.
Your insight, Brian, always so invaluable. Thrilled to do this with you today. You know, we also couldn't do this parade year after year without our friends and sponsor, Netherworld. It is not only one of the scariest haunted houses in all of Georgia, but the Southeast, and this year is no exception. They are ready for you with new haunts and brand new scares.
People love haunted houses. They're like an epic thing they do every year. They build memories with their friends and family. It's fun to be scared. It's fun to see your friends get scared. It's really a thing that people love to do these days. This year at Netherworld, we have two new amazing themes. Our main show is called Wake the Dead. Armies of the restless dead, vampires. These vampires are everywhere. This army of the dead, they are rotten, they are evil, they are twisted. And Mr. Grindel's birthday party of horrors. Mr. Grindel is a character from the Beowulf saga, an ancient ogre, but he's taken the guise of a clown, and he travels around to eat people. So we have Mr. Grindel going on a rampage, but it's his birthday party. So he's got a cake, and he's inviting you to come. Netherworld and Dragon Con go way back. The Dragon Con Parade itself, we've been a participant since the very first year. And every year, we always have new things to show. You're gonna be blown away by the floats we have, all the new characters. The team has been working all year to pull this off. It's gonna be amazing. We at Netherworld want to thank Atlanta 69 and Dragon Con for creating this amazing parade. And it's a great place for us to launch off officially our season here at Netherworld. This year, Netherworld is going to open on September 20th. We have 34 nights of operation. If you'd like any information on Netherworld, go to our website at fearworld.com. We can't wait to have you visit us this season. We'll be lurking for you.
Oh, good Lord, you heard the man. The haunt season opens Friday, September 20th. Go to fearworld.com for times and tickets. It's been a pretty exciting morning here. Just a little while ago, Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens stopped by. Big fan of Dragon Con. A lot of reasons for him to be a big fan.
Dragon Con, there's a huge economic impact that Dragon Con has. Georgia State did a study on it about 15 years ago, and back then it was still in the tens of millions of dollars. I have no idea what it would look like today.
Well, we had a chance to talk to him, and here's a bit of what the mayor had to say about Dragon Con.
We'd like to present you with a Dragon Con badge.
Wow.
It'll take you anywhere, and if it doesn't, call me. I'll make sure it does.
Well, thank you so much.
We appreciate your being with us today. Thank you very much. I know it's a big day for you here in Atlanta.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a big day, but this is a big part of that big day. This big part of this weekend is Dragon Con. Each and every year we come out to celebrate the convention as well as the parade that Dragon Con has. So this has been the 38th annual convention and then the 23rd annual parade. This is going to be marvelous. The sun is here. The city is on excitement, waiting to see this parade. It's a big year. It's a big day in the city of Atlanta, and so being able to see everybody celebrating sci-fi and gaming and fantasy and the culture. This is just wonderful each year.
What do you love about Dragon Con?
Oh, I love the costumes. I mean, just right out the bat, I love to see people walking up and down our streets, particularly Peachtree, you know, having fun with one another, doing cosplay, wearing their various, you know, costumes, you know, whether it's, I love to see all the various like superheroes or even the things that are related to pop culture, people dressing up as someone else. And so it's just fun, but also the competitiveness of it sometimes. So some people go all the way with it and stay in character, stay in uniform. So that makes it fun when people give their heart to it. I also like the fact that people get geared up for this. They think about this for a whole year, getting ready for today.
We are going to take a quick break because the parade is about to arrive. Anticipation is high. We're back right after this. Hey Falcons fans, Atlanta 69 is the place to see the Falcons-Eagles game Monday, September 16th. The broadcast starts with the pregame show at 7 p.m. and kickoff is at 8. Falcons versus Eagles right here on Atlanta 69. And we are back live from the Dragon Con Parade presented by Netherworld, and the parade is arriving at our location as we speak. And Brian, it looks like Colorado Captain is back leading this year.
Yes, the Colorado Captain is back after his motorcycle accident about 2 years ago. He's leading the charge as now the head of the Dragon Con Parade. The Colorado Captain is known for doing charity drives across the country, and we are honored to have him leading our Mighty Dragons and Marchers. Normally, we would have had Janie Wirtz in as a bagpiper, and we thank her for her contributions for so many years before COVID. The Colorado Captain wants her to know that he's with her until the end of the line. We hope to get Janie back sometime soon, but thank you, Colorado Captain, for making it to the parade and leading us off strong. Behind our banner, we have our dragon-themed costumes. And
that
our
is a very cool
Dragon
car.
Queen Corvette. We've had some awesome vehicle wraps show up at Dragon Con. They stay parked in front of the host hotels pretty often. And the Dragon Queen Corvette is one of the newer additions. That is such a beautiful car. And we have a color guard. This year, starting out with the color guard, the Strutting Peacocks, as they like to call themselves. They consist of various sci-fi fandoms, and several of them are members of the military or veterans. They're wearing cosplay uniforms from their distinct genres. We do have a lot of service members that participate in military cosplay or military-adjacent cosplay at Dragon Con.
And coming up next is the 405 Infantry.
Yeah, this is out of the video game franchise Halo, which has been going on for over a decade now. It's even made it onto streaming series. This is a hardcore group because you can't really buy these costumes. There's no off-the-rack Spartan outfit.
So what, they make them?
Yeah, there's a process. A lot of them, they either use a thing called Warbler, which is like a sculptable or shapeable foam.
Okay.
Or they do something called vacuum forming, where they make a mold of a uniform. And a lot of these groups share their molds, and then they vacuum seal plastic. And they do, some of them do it professionally, but some of them do home-built rigs. So they'll make this out of literally like pressure cookers and industrial plastic.
So
and the ingenuity behind this stuff is amazing.
That's very cool, but do they get to wear them more than once a year?
Yeah, a lot of them will use them for Halloween, but also for charity events. There's a huge costume charity group that happens
here.
Oh,
look, Michael Jackson's here.
Yeah, that's part of everything Dragon Con. This is just mix and match. Dragon Con, it's just like 100 fandoms in a trench coat, really. It's like just whatever kind of con you want it to be. So you see a lot of mashup and mixed cosplay here, and it turns into a pretty big group. You get the huge variety of stuff going on.
Amazing diversity, right?
Yeah.
A bit of everything.
You're going to see reflections of anime. You're going to see reflections of a lot of adaptations of written works. What do I think this character looks like? And some of it's just straight off the television or movie screen. The Goulet Army, one of our sub genres.
Oh my
goodness. They do karaoke as
Robert Goulet.
Like I said, did we say everything Dragon Con? I really meant it.
That's really everything.
Yes. We've got some representation from the Arthritis Foundation. That's our official charity partner for this year.
So for 2024, Dragon Con's official charity is the Arthritis Foundation, which leads the fight to conquer arthritis. This affects nearly 60 million men, women, and children in the U.S. It was founded back in 1948 with a goal to attack the challenges of arthritis through a national program to fund medical research and to provide better support to patients, which is so critically important. So for over 75 years, the foundation has boldly pursued a cure for America's #1 cause of disability, while championing the fight to conquer arthritis with life-changing science, resources, advocacy, and community connections. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize about Dragon Con is just how much money is raised for charities year after year.
Yeah, the convention actually does a match. So when fans donate, DragonCon matches their dollar for dollar up to $125,000. So last year, because of that contribution, DragonCon was able to give over $270,000 to last year's charity. So we're hoping for similar numbers this year.
Yeah, just in case people are interested, DragonCon, once again, matching donations up to $125,000, which is impressive.
Yeah. All right, coming up next, we have the Herkimer Jitney. This is the battle Jitney from the Mystery Men movie. It's the 1999 prop. It's the sole surviving hero vehicle from that. Riding in the vehicle is the Mystery Men creator himself, Bob Burden. And this vehicle was restored by Razorfly Studios. They're a cinema vehicle restoration company in North Carolina. They do costumes and props. All right, coming up next, Swag and Seek. Fans run DragonCon. Fans rule everything around me. This is an act of kindness group for those attending DragonCon who would give and receive complimentary swag and gifts from fellow attendees. This could be stickers, candies, buttons. I've eaten several bags of Skittles over the weekend. Thank
awesome.
you.
Can never get enough Skittles.
My doctor's going to hate it, but I love it. You get pins, koozies, jewelry, toys. They're all given and received to spread love, kindness, and friendship at DragonCon. So keep an eye out throughout DragonCon. They hide them all out throughout the hotels.
This is Grand Marshal Fraggle Rock, right? That's just passing by?
Yeah, dance your cares away. Down at Fraggle Rock. All right. Jim Henson is a beloved puppeteer and has a deep connection to the Atlanta puppeting community. In fact, the Center for Puppetry Arts and their museum is in downtown Atlanta. And you can see a lot of the Fraggle exhibits there. So we've got Gobo, Monkey, Red, Wembley, and Boober. They live in the magical caves avoiding the giant gorgs. This series was fan-loved when it came out. It had a return to streaming. And I love seeing these puppeteers at DragonCon every single year.
We're going to pause for a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Plenty more DragonCon Parade up next. Don't forget the new fall lineup on Atlanta 69 begins September 9th. And be sure to catch Atlanta Now News weeknights at 8 right here on Atlanta 69. Welcome back to DragonCon Parade. And Brian, we're back in time to see the periodic table of elements. And you were explaining this to me.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. It's basically puns.
Yep. So basically, you can't have science fiction without science, and the periodic table of elements is the basis of all science. So this is just puns based on the element names. You will see behind the banner, Hi-Ho Silver. Lawrence of Arabia is usually a cosplayer representing Laurentium. If you see the noble gases, all of the Type 1 elements have, all the noble gases have crowns, and the Type 1 elements get a free electron with every purchase.
This is amazing.
Let's see who we lined up with. Sulfur, this for NASA. Captain America is a Americium. Nickel has a nickel on a stick. Calcium is milk, of course. There's our Laurentium, Lawrence of Arabia cosplay. It is, silicon is, yeah. We have literally like space station astronauts, shuttle mission astronauts are on the science track this year. It's incredible.
And they are awesome, but what's behind him is also driving the crowd wild is the Deadpools.
All right, it's Deadpool, everybody, from the blockbuster movie Deadpool and Wolverine. It's the Merc with the Mouth, breaking the fourth wall to come out onto Peachtree Street this morning. The Deadpool variants are alive and well, and if this seems like a small group, once you go to the hotel in the evening, it turns out there's an acre of them. So if you make it to the hotel, you're probably going to get caught in like a Deadpool run of some kind. And so you even have like every variation of Deadpool. You have Lady Deadpool, you have a Bunny Deadpool, there's a Deadpool T-Rex, there's a Ferris Bueller Deadpool from the post-credit sequence of the first movie.
I did.
It's a lot.
Yeah. The Cult of John.
We are now blessed under his googly eye.
This feels so DragonCon in that I don't
So what
get
happened
it.
is several years ago, there was a cardboard cutout of a shipping company employee, and the stock photo guy was named John. And people at DragonCon sometimes put random googly eyes on objects, so they put googly eyes on the John cardboard cutout on like a Wednesday or Thursday. And then by the time you got to Saturday, he was wearing several layers of like Hawaiian leis. People had laid out tributes to him. And essentially by Monday, we had formed a cult around a cardboard object. That's the short version.
So basically you just got to get out your googly eyes.
Pretty much.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been different. All right, we're getting now into American science fiction. So American sci-fi and fantasy. We're starting out the cosplay of Gilead. This is coming out of The Handmaid's Tale,
yeah.
which well-known science fiction property made it to streaming a couple of years ago, critically acclaimed show that expands on the original novel and universe. This, again, is a huge mix of programs. But, yeah, the cosplay on this goes from serious to lighthearted, so it's pretty much everything you've seen on TV over the past 3 to 4 decades. So if you're hearing the So Say We All chant coming up behind this group, that's because we're about to get into Battlestar Galactica, which has had several lives on television. Battlestar Galactica started out in the 1970s, and it has been rebooted on the Sci-Fi Channel to great success, had a great 5-series run. And the cosplay and guest list are strong here. Edward James Olmos was a mainstay at Dragon Con for years.
Very excited to see the pizza van from Stranger Things.
Stranger Things. They are delivering, like literally, Surfer Boy Pizza coming from the later seasons. Shot in the Atlanta area, by the way. Stranger Things, even though it's set in the Midwest, is shot in Atlanta. Now getting into Disney. And we're starting out with a little bit of a crossover. So this is a mixed Disney group. You're going to see Hello Kitty as a samurai. You're going to see some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Some princesses cosplay is in here. But you're also getting into some general animation in the kids track. So you'll see pieces from, we've got some really good cosplay from Labyrinth. Oh, there's Waldo. We've just got a little bit of everything in the kids track. I think there's some Foot Clan running loose.
Look at that fellow's hat. There he is.
Oh, wow.
I know. It's a lot of effort to keep that balancing.
Oh, yeah, of course the Pokemon. Do not actually catch these Pokemon. They're real people in costumes. That would just be kidnapping. The mayor would frown upon that. I told you not to do that. Well, you weren't listening. Team Rocket was not listening. Squirtle on a saxophone because... Well,
of course.
Because you can.
Yes.
Do we have the music rights for that? Let's clear those music rights. All right. Moving into another awesome vehicle. Oh, yeah, there we are. We got some mutant action going on. Someone call the turtles. I know that they're mutant ninja turtles that live in the sewer, but could they come out during the day for once to deal with this particular situation? I would greatly appreciate that.
I love seeing Arms of Middle-earth.
Yes. Tolkien is a big deal this year. I actually went to their photo shoot in Hardy Ivy Park last year. They like to hang. There's a big archway that they like to take photos in front of. Works well. And it was thundering all night. And every time a clap of thunder came down, everybody looked at the Gandalf cosplayers, and they're like, we didn't do it. I didn't cast the spell, I swear. But Tolkien's leading us off into ancient worlds. Yeah. We've got the Amazonians representing
Brian,
strong.
I would just like to say, this is the toughest part of my job, being this close to the Spartans.
Yes.
I mean, it's a shame that they're not fit and ripped and muscular.
Some of them are, and some of them have resorted to other means. And if you were like, there's supposed to be 300 of them, we're getting them later in the movie, and it was a long night at the bar at Dragon Con last night, so we're down to like maybe 50. So... but one of them will survive to tell their story.
Well, this just proves that this parade has something for everyone.
Yeah, they will live on to post to their Instagram stories. But some of them are actually like doing there's a fitness regime. If the ones actually want to naturally cosplay, then there's an entire workout group that's like, hey, it's 18 weeks to Dragon Con. Here's your diet and fitness plan. And notice that I am behind the camera wearing a vest. I am not on that Facebook group.
And it's the Seed and Feed Marching Band, which is... iconic and has been around a long time.
Yep, they've been running this thing since 1974. It's basically what if you wanted marching band without the annoying high school classes. They perform on the road and at home, on stages and festivals, and in support of community events and fundraisers. The band has a, as they like to say, trademark style, very explosive sound, and colorful street theater. It's originally formed as part of a theater company, and it's not a stock uniform, so you're going to see all kinds of wonderful cosplay happening in this group. Let's just sit back and let them rock.
Well, they're here to get everyone dancing. I do not understand the next thing that is coming our way. We need to talk about this.
We need to talk about it.
We need to talk about the cult of the Marriott carpet.
Yes, the only
what in the world?
It's the only cosplay group I know of that basically started out of a cease and desist order. So what happened is, there are so many pictures taken at Dragon Con that eventually you will get the hotel carpet patterns in the shots.
Okay.
And so they become part, you can say, oh, they were in the Marriott, they were in the Hyatt, they were in the Hilton. You can identify the hotel because the hotel uses that carpet as essentially part of its brand.
Okay, but I got to ask this. Is this still the carpet? Have they
no,
not changed it?
it hasn't been the carpet for like
okay.
8 years.
Well, because that would be really old, gross carpet.
So what happened is a couple of cosplayers dressed up as, so they were like, hey, if we're going to be soldiers in the Dragon Con, the way we would camouflage ourselves was to dress up like the carpet. So they made a bunch of Green Army Men soldiers, but in the pattern of the carpet.
Okay, it's making sense now.
The carpet company was like, hey, you can't sell that online. And they sent them a cease and desist letter. So they said, okay, we're just going to give our pattern away for free. And when the carpet started going away, people were like, wait a minute, we liked that carpet. And they started cosplaying as the carpet as part of their like, hey, we love this, we miss this.
Well, you have solved a very big mystery for me today, so I thank you for that. And I did not realize they also have the Marriott Carpet Band.
They do. Yep. If you want to cut a rug, this is the band for you.
Oh, Brian! Well, I really enjoy it, especially now that I have a clue why. So thank you.
This is, by the way, one of our new vehicle wraps that keeps showing up. And this car's been showing up in front of the Hilton for so long that they've just made mini versions of the car. So when he parks in front of the Hilton, he's got 4 versions of his own. So his car is cosplayed by other cars. And it starts from like a Matchbox car and rolls all the way up to this full-size Corvette. Following up, we're getting into the anime and manga section. Everything from black and white comics that you would read on the morning commute on the train, all the way up to your favorite animated series. I started getting into anime in the 80s with the Robotech, which is an adaptation of a bunch of Japanese cartoons. And I used to travel for business in Tokyo for off and on for like 15 years. And would end up visiting a lot of the anime and manga stores in like Shinjuku, Harajuku, Akihabara.
Yeah.
And seeing just like the stuff that I was like, oh, this is my weird, interesting science fiction. It's just a daily read for a lot of kids there. Wings of Dragon Con is coming up. This is another one. If you're behind this cosplay, walking through a hotel tunnel, I'm so sorry, but admire it up close. Just, you can't pass these. The wingspans on these are impressive. A lot of the cosplay shoots they do on the back steps of the Hilton, there's an entire winged group cosplay, and just gorgeous stuff. They managed to time it right where they get it in like full sunlight, so you can see all the details in the photos. And some of these wings are retractable, and some of them are fixed. So we had one cosplayer that did a steampunk thing one year, and the wings were retractable and was activated by her smartwatch. And she could hit a button on her wrist, and her wings would pop out and then retract back. All right, now we're getting into Fallout and Borderlands. Fallout has been a video game franchise that started out as a Wasteland game that I remember playing, and I'm not going to tell you when, but that game was on a floppy disk, kids. And it's moved into Fallout, which is now a TV franchise. Borderlands just recently had a movie, unfortunately. But Fallout, the Fallout series, even if you don't play the games, I highly recommend it. Great series, great world building.
Ghostbusters?
Who are we calling? We are calling the Ghostbusters because, man, the ghosts are everywhere. There is, I mean, these guys are going to be busy tonight. This is their time to shine. But when it gets dark, the reason you can sleep well in a hotel at night is probably because of this crew. And if you get a chance to see these cosplayers up close, check out the Proton Packs. Some of them are movie accurate. Some of them light up. I'm afraid to cross the streams on them because they might work a little too well.
And the crowd has loved Ghostbusters.
Oh, yes.
They go crazy for certain things, and probably also their parents, right? Because it's when we were kids.
Well, the kids want the marshmallows, and the adults want the Ghostbusters.
And Ghostbusters are finally bidding adieu, but the next one's coming through.
Yeah, the diversity track. We have just got the amazing Mystery of Cosplays at Dragon Con, and y'all means all at Dragon Con. Everything is welcome, and we see some great mashups of costumes and some great representation. And some great vehicles rolling up
Brian,
here as well.
Isn't it time to explore strange new worlds?
Yeah, we're going to seek out new life and new civilizations, and we're going to live long and perspire because the sun has come out for the Star Trek group. Oh, I was on a panel with 2 of the voice actors from Star Trek Lower Decks yesterday. Hilarious love letter to fandom of Star Trek. I've got a panel coming up with the cast of Strange New Worlds on Sunday. I love that show. It's classic Trek with modern sensibilities. And everything from Enterprise to Deep Space Nine to that weird animated thing that happened in the 70s that everybody thought was a fever dream but really was a show, it all shows up here. We've had everyone from George Takei, William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, Anson Mount, Ethan Peck, old generation, new generation. It's all represented here. And Star Trek is like the thing, one of my foundational things in fandom. And now we're into the children of the future. Superheroes and villains being led off by the X-Men. X-Men 97, one of my favorite shows of this year. A continuation of the classic X-Men 90s. Much in the style of, like, we got Batman here. There's a new Batman series that's on Amazon that's fantastic. Spider-Men's galore. We are embracing the multiverse of Spider-Men's. Spiders, men is like attorneys general. I'd never understand how pluralize that. But you've got some great rep here. There's some fantasy love coming in. We've got a couple of Barbies who snuck in. Rocket Raccoon is back from the new captain of the Guardians of the Galaxy, carrying the torch.
All right, stay tuned. We have one more quick break. The Dragon Con Parade presented by Netherworld continues after this. All right, Haunted House fans, the ultimate haunted house, Netherworld, opens September 20th. Go to fearworld.com for tickets, directions, and more, and prepare to be scared.
Scary clowns, scary clowns.
No, thank you.
Do not
No
like the
scary
scary
clowns.
clowns. But you know what isn't scary? Captain America.
I know.
Part of our
we love
giant
him.
superheroes and villains group, Captain America, shows up every year. It is fantastic stuff.
So coming up after this, Brian.
Yeah, we're still going to be going into superheroes, but we're going to be transitioning out of that.
Into Fans for Christ.
Yeah, Fans for Christ. Fans for Christ is another cosplay group. It's a mixed cosplay group as far as the type of cosplay you get, but they've got one common denominator, which is one of their other loves. And so this is just another nice representation of, like, people bringing their outside interests, so that everything in Dragon Con is not just about what fandom are you into. It's what other aspects of your life can you bring in. All right, we're getting into some of our gaming, so Dungeons & Dragons, Critical Role. We have a lot of podcasts that are based on, like, D20 game systems, Dimension 20. Critical Role has turned into the Vox Machina streaming series.
Brian, I have a question.
Yes.
Do all of these groups that we see out here at the parade, do they mix and mingle?
Oh, yeah.
Or do they stick more with their group?
No. You see a lot of mix-ups. So what happens is you have the kind of things where, let's say like in this gaming group, right? You'll have people where they'll get together at a convention and say, hey, let's do a photo shoot with all of the Disney characters, all of the video game characters.
Okay.
And then they'll just get together and hang out in the convention afterwards. Like, the convention runs 24/7 pretty much once it starts. So you'll see them just decide that, hey, let's have a meetup group of everybody from, like, Atlanta, everybody from Denver, whatever. And then that's just the mix of the photos you get, the mix of the cosplays you get. Although I am a little worried about the next group. We've got the Umbrella group. This is from Resident Evil. And I'm always a little worried when they come by because I don't know what I think they're violating HIPAA in some pretty unreasonable ways in the Resident Evil franchise. So that's always concerning.
Oh my.
So I got my flu shot before I got here. I think I'm fine. But I'm not exactly sure what else I should be vaccinated for when this group rolls up behind me on Peachtree. Why do we put the Ghostbusters so early in the parade? They should be after this group, right?
I think I would have stacked this differently.
Let's talk to Billy after this. I would like to change the order. All right, theater group. You know, we also can't put the Ghostbusters behind the theater group because we wouldn't have any Phantom of the Opera cosplayers. That would just not work out well at all. Would it surprise you, Jay, to learn that some of our Dragon Con fans appreciate the drama?
Not at all.
Okay, good,
Brian.
because that's why we have a theater group. Oh, the dragon. Look at the Chinese dragon showing up.
Oh, that's beautiful.
In the Dragon Con parade.
Beautiful and fitting.
Yeah. Now getting into some more video game work. Big BioShock. This is Big Daddy. One of the weirder.
Isn't he handsome?
Yes, and that is a small version of Big Daddy. Big Daddy is an iconic video game cosplay from BioShock. An absolutely terrifying character.
Yeah, that scares me.
Oh, I remember him. He was in my nightmare last night. Let's welcome
you.
Netherworld, a longtime sponsor of Dragon Con. They are now located in Stone Mountain. They moved locations in 2018. They are now haunting what I think used to be a Target parking lot. And it's one of the top haunted houses in the United States. And they always bring big costumes and big, big vehicles.
So I know that they are merely in costumes and there are normal people in there.
Let's say
but I find them
yes.
terrifying.
Let's say yes, because I'm convinced, but I'm sometimes
No, like those
concerned.
hatchets and what have you. They don't look plastic.
They do not. I realized after years of doing a lot of the convention interviews and the parade work that I had interviewed what I thought were 3 different Netherworld characters that I realized were the same guy 3 different times.
Oh my gosh.
And I didn't know it until the 3rd time when he said, yeah, you've talked to me before. And I'm like, have I? And he's like, I was the collector. And I'm like, oh no. They are into it.
I mean, seriously, the costumes are simply unbelievable that they have.
So I got to interview their makeup effects director, who also does like pro-level Hollywood local production stuff, who's also into Netherworld. And you can see why. When you see these costumes up close in daylight and up close when you're actually like rolling up to the haunt, whether it's the parking lot work for the scare or the full costume work once you're inside the haunt, it's glorious. And by glorious, I mean absolutely terrifying.
And I'm sorry, no clowns. My husband's terrified of clowns. These are not. These aren't the ones you invite to your child's birthday
party. The note
party.
from our producer is, and I quote, "Clowns bad."
Yeah. Well.
Netherworld good, clowns bad.
Who wants to hang out? I mean, is that it? Yeah.
I don't think that's it. I think they have a bit. Oh, you meant was that the clown from it? Okay.
Oh, that's good.
All right.
All right.
And this is just what they look like in daylight.
Yeah, I mean, like he might go to an office job in a suit and like a very fancy Starbucks drink when he's not out maiming and doing whatever.
Yeah, I've got a tall foam latte for. They always get his name wrong. Oh,
they
put
sure
too many
misspell
H's.
it. Yeah.
It's 3 H's, guys.
Yeah.
3 H's.
You'd see how that could
How
happen.
hard is that? All right, Cru Shadows fairies are out in the daylight.
And she's super cute.
Yeah, the Cru Shadows have been a long time staple at Dragon Con. Dark Wave band, they've been performing DC Sunday Night for, gosh, decades. I met Rogue at one of my first volunteer gigs at Dragon Con. All right, it's time to seek your fortune. We're getting into, I believe they call themselves archaeologists. Let's just go with that.
Yes.
Because it belongs in a museum. Maybe you should return that idol.
I was going to say, or Tomb Raiders.
Things have not gone well since y'all took that skull, so maybe you should put the skull back and see what happens. Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones, you've got your kind of pulp 30s and 40s influence in here.
Oh, look, there's Indy and his dad.
You have Dr. Jones and Dr. Jones right next to Dr. Jones and Dr. Jones. It's not confusing at all.
Not one bit. I'm right there with them. Oh, they look so good.
I mean, the nice thing about an Indiana Jones cosplay is you're never too old to do it because Harrison Ford is never too old to play Indiana Jones.
He's playing him at 80, so.
Yeah. So.
I love this Sean Connery.
Oh, we get some great Connery looks.
Good.
All right, it's the Men in Black. I don't remember them being here last year. Do you, Jay? Were they here last year? I don't remember that.
I thought they were.
It's a little fuzzy. Okay,
honestly,
yeah, they may not have been here last year. So let's describe Men in Black. It's the 14th year being in the parade. I thought it was their first. Anyway, they brought their tourist car. They got the motorcycle. And they are here to protect us against, I guess, cosplayers? Aliens don't really exist, so they're just protecting us for some cosplayers.
Let's thank them for their service, though, Brian.
I appreciate that. We're getting into G.I. Joe now, a real American hero. G.I. Joe is there. I mean, literally right there. They just walked behind me. And the nice thing about G.I. Joe, again, so many variations.
Yeah.
You've got your 80s action figures of all their various styles and size runs. You can do the guns in any color, because if you're like me and lost the original weapons for the toys, which means my toys are worth nothing, you can always buy the expansion pack, and those guns came in whatever color they felt like.
Well, those are my grandparents grew up with
Oh.
the first G.I. Joe figurines, and my mom has one perfectly preserved in the box, never opened.
Nice.
Yeah, nobody
We're
go to her house.
into Doctor Who now as part of British science fiction, the Crichton Academy. Doctor Who is another one of my early fandoms. My mom let me watch the late-night PBS runs of the original Doctor Who. Very foundational stuff. Of course, then, she let me stay up late to watch those reruns, and then I would watch Monty Python and Benny Hill afterwards, which explains a lot of what you're getting today. But you have, and the nice thing about Doctor Who cosplay, you're probably working with a bigger budget than the producers of the original series. So your stuff might actually look better than it looked on TV in the 70s. They literally went to the hardware store for some of that. But I love the Fourth Doctor's car. It's such an iconic vehicle. And probably like the cleanest vehicle here because it runs on like time juice or something. It's very wibbly wobbly. Again, never too old to play Doctor Who, because if you play the 7th Doctor long enough, you'll come back as the 8th, and then the 9th, and then the 10th.
So this is great. This is the Bloodmobile from Life
Yes.
South. And listen, I mean, we all know how important it is to give blood. But right now, if you do it, you actually get something back, which is you get a free T-shirt.
Yes.
So that's incredible motivation to do something that's important and greatly needed, to get out there and donate and walk away with a souvenir other than less blood in your body for a little bit.
This is one of the largest blood drives in the country. It's won multiple awards for the largest units collected over an event and over a single day. And Life South not only does blood collection here, but they also do platelet donations.
Right.
And they're looking for
Which is
donors,
so critically
including
important.
O-type donors. I recommend going online. If you can't donate here, donate somewhere, right? Because if you're
Indeed.
busy at DragonCon, it's hard to get blood if you want to like go through the event as a normal human. Some people, blood draws are difficult things. But this is just a reminder, if you're not doing it here, do it in your community.
And a lot of people are scared of giving blood, but it's
Yeah.
not. You know, most people I talk to who wind up doing it and me doing it
Yeah.
for years, it's not what you think.
I mean,
it's not that big a
I
deal.
had trouble with it at first because they ask a lot of questions like, what's your blood type? Whose blood is it? Why is the blood in a bucket?
Do you think the pirates would give blood, Brian?
Oh, the pirates would give blood.
or
I'm
they
just
might
not
be
sure.
more often take blood?
The question is, whose blood are they giving?
Yeah.
So, you know, if they bring it to you already in a bag, I would ask some questions.
might be a little cautious.
But this is why I don't bring my car keys to DragonCon, because I would like to make sure I get them back, because they're standing right behind me, aren't they? But
They
the
are.
pirates, always a big deal at DragonCon, handing out doubloons, possibly stealing your ladies and some of your gentlemen, beckoning you to the sea with their siren tails and whatever was in that mug they served me last night. Whatever it was delicious. And it's Saturday, right? Okay, I missed part of
is.
Friday apparently. But I mean, look at this earthbound ship we've got here. They're not landlubbing; they're just bringing the sea to your street. All right, just checked still got my wallet and phone, so we're good to go.
This is a visual feast
Yes,
for the
we're
eyes.
into the Skeptics track with the crew of optical delusions. Your favorite optical illusions. Do not adjust your set. Look at this. Look at all these illusions. They hypnotized me. I'm sorry, I forgot. Where are we? Am
You're
I a
with me,
chicken?
Brian,
I'm not
on
a
the
chicken.
side of the road.
I'm not a chicken. Get a little Dutch angle on that crew of optical illusions. Part of the Skeptic tracks, meaning don't believe it just because you can see it. They're going to dazzle everybody with their stickers, their checkers, their dots, their patterns, their black and white stripes. This is in full color still, right? It's still in color. Look at that. Now that Stormtrooper you would not be able to hit.
No, you wouldn't.
If
Because you can always hit them.
If that's what a Stormtrooper sees through their visor, that's why they miss everybody. All right, that's not an optical illusion. They're actually pulling off their sick breakdancing moves. Have you considered moving to Australia, my good sir? The Skeptics have been a big deal here because science is all about observation, results, and making sure your data represents what you see, not just what your biases are. So skepticism goes hand in hand with all of the science-based work that we do here. And we do encourage the science pieces because if you make the science strong enough, then when you do something fantastic in a piece of work that you're writing, it actually makes it more fantastical.
Of course.
So like something like The Expanse, which is one of my favorite recent series, the reason that the twist in that show hits so hard is because everything feels so realistic up to the point where they shift the universe on you. Speaking of universes,
Hey,
we got an astronaut! Look at that!
A real live astronaut.
Yes.
Cody Coleman.
Yes, Cody Coleman, who has been to space. Again, amazing the kind of folks that we get. Actually still active on the NASA and spaceflight roster.
I love that it's like real heroes and make-believe heroes.
Yes.
And dress-up heroes.
Space was a big thing for me as a kid. I got to go see the Cape Canaveral Shuttle Atlantis display this summer, and it's stunning in person. It lets you walk like within 10 feet of something that's been to space and back multiple times. It's an incredible piece of work. But we're also talking, like, we're talking about philosophers here, so this is like some of our great thinkers and scientists in history. So you got to know where you came from. And I am believing this not just because I'm seeing it on TV, because it's happening live right behind me. So I am a secondary source.
Thank you, Brian, for being that.
To ask more questions!
All right, and if you didn't think science was that interesting in high school, the next group is going to back up your feelings about it because it's the horror group.
Yeah.
Was science scary for you? Probably because you mixed the ammonia and bleach. You shouldn't do that. Pay attention to chemistry, kids.
Yeah, the horror group, I'm just waiting for somebody to flick the chainsaw.
Yeah, that's going to happen. I mean, my friends who are fans of horror basically talk about it as like a cautionary tale. You know how like everybody likes true crime podcasts now? And they're like, look, because I listened to 18 seasons of, I live next to an axe murderer, or whatever the hot new thing is. It turns out that they think of it as like a training for like how not to get murdered in the woods. And so horror, in some cases, it's the escapism of like, okay, my comfort zone is learning how not to be killed in the woods by a guy with a chainsaw. So, yay, I guess?
I guess.
Educational programming,
I guess
question mark?
Also, like, learning how not to get murdered in the woods. Yeah.
All right, Evel Knievel is leading off the DragonCon over 40, i.e. get off their lawn, which you have been because, well, you're here and they're not home. So even if you're on their lawn right now, they can't tell. But this is the experienced cosplay group. They're not. They're not old. They're just better at you at not dying.
They are, and I guarantee you, they care even less than everyone before them what anyone thinks of their outfits.
Well, being in, as we like to say in television, their core demographic. But by the way, if you identify with this cosplay group, ask your doctor if Cologuard is right for you. Time travel. Oh, classic time travel. Wish you could go back and redo some of my lines in this live broadcast, but he's driving away from me, so I can't use the mechanism. I would have redone a couple of jokes better, I gotta be honest. That OG H.G. Wells time machine just always gets me. It's a wonderful piece of work. Warriors, come out and march! These are tied into the over 40 group. Warriors, iconic cult movies. You're going to see a lot of people who like revolve around that one film that 20 of your friends love and no one else has heard of. Warriors is kind of like that, and Warriors is based on classic Greek literature.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It is a play on the Odyssey and the Iliad, having to cross back across enemy territory to get back to your home turf, meeting horrors along the way that one could possibly not comprehend. Speaking of horrors that you can't comprehend, what if your cosplay breaks? That's why the Cosplay Medics are here, another giving back group. They are here with all of your hot glue and Warbler needs. I have seen them go to work in lobbies. They station themselves in the major hotel lobbies.
So what's in that case, that fellow's?
It's probably a mixture of googly eyes, gaffer's tape, E6000 sealant, and the spirit gum you use to apply latex like ears and forehead appliques, scars and that kind of thing.
Up next, Lakeside High School.
I love it for these
Marching
kids.
Band. The Viking Band.
The Viking Band always brings it. They've been at DragonCon many years. I have very fond marching band memories, and most of them are in parades way smaller than this. I marched in a North Carolina parade so small the band outnumbered the crowd. And I went to a high school that had a graduating class with 100 people.
Wow. They sound really good.
They are sharp.
They look really good, and they're wearing very long sleeve, long pant uniforms on a balmy day.
Polyester.
Bless them.
Polyester is hot in the summer, cold in the winter.
Yes.
I do not miss the band looks, but let's give them a listen. Kids, in the TV business, we call this foreshadowing. Foreshadowing. Pay attention to the music. That should give you a hint on what's coming up next. Nicely done. I love it when cons like this give kids an opportunity to shine. I mean, the Atlanta marching band scene. You've seen the HBCU marching bands around here. The tightest marching bands I have seen in my life are within a 10-mile radius of this event.
You're right.
And a bunch of these schools feed into that culture.
Yep, they're world class.
I was never that good of a drummer in high school. It's just amazing precision work that they do. But I was talking about that foreshadowing. You recognize that theme song, Star Wars. One of the biggest cosplay groups in not just the Dragon Con world, but the whole world of cosplay. The 501st Legion of Stormtroopers is now, it was a fandom group that is now written into the Star Wars canon. It is referenced in multiple novels, and I think even gets some love in The Mandalorian. But The Mandalorian and Rebels and Clone Wars have brought Star Wars to a whole new generation. We've got 9 movies of the original canon, plus Rogue One, one of my favorites of the new set. Mandalorian has been killing it on TV. Ahsoka was really good. I love the Acolyte.
Ahsoka.
I'm sorry, the guy who played our Sith from the Acolyte is Banny. He's a guest at Dragon Con this year. I love the speeder bike. The speeder bike motorcycle is great.
That is.
It's a little
so
slower
cool.
in person, but we do have speed limits in Atlanta. This TIE Fighter, I watched it driving laps around this morning when I was walking down to the parade route from my hotel, looking how to get in. And the Emperor's back.
Oh.
He's put on a little too much sunscreen. It looks a bit pale.
Yeah.
That's what, SPF 5000?
He needs some vitamin D.
Yeah. He could use a lot of vitamins, honestly, and maybe also some fish oil. He needs to chill out a little bit.
So, question for you: why do the stormtroopers never hit their target?
Plot armor. The stormtroopers have actual armor. The heroes have plot armor. But the 501st, again, a big charity group. So they make the vacuum forming process I was telling you about earlier. They get together in groups and do that. Lucasfilm really loves the fandom, but doesn't want people kind of like selling unofficial stuff. So these groups are very, like if you look at a lot of these costumes, the groups where you're talking about, like the Saber Guild, which is about to come behind us, which is the Jedi group, and they're 2 sides, 1 force, so they'll also represent a lot of the Sith. Or the Rebel Legion or the 501st, they'll actually get together and say, if you're within the Legion, we want the costumes to look like the movies. So variant costumes normally come out of the other side groups. So look at these Jedi here.
Yeah.
They spend effort making sure they're screen accurate. And they learned the saber style in the movies is now so iconic. It is an actual taught martial arts style.
There's a tremendous amount of effort that goes into learning this character.
And they're like, I've taken martial arts off and on for decades, and there are forms in there that is just as complicated as anything you would have in Taekwondo, Kempo, any of the Chinese styles. It's a blend of those things. And the Mandalorians are another group. They're a little bit different because they've got like the Mandalorian vibe. There's only really from the original trilogy, only a couple of Mandalorian characters that show up. Like you've got Boba Fett, and he's the only one in the full trilogy. And then you get into the prequels, and you've only got Jango and Mando. Right? And then you get this expanded universe in The Mandalorian. And so some stuff goes from, I'm out of the show, to I've created a whole new thing. I built a universe around myself because until The Mandalorian, the fans had to fill in those gaps. And so The Mandalorians, you're going to see the biggest variety, in my opinion, of like costume styling.
But these guys are pure fun.
Oh, boy. And what have the Ewoks stolen this year?
They are so mischievous.
Last year, they took my iPhone. I'm an Android user now. Thank you, R2. But now the Great Jawa Horde has gone a little bit with the 60s vibes. They got some disco. They stole a bubble machine. And wait, oh, that's my disco light from the party room in my hotel suite. I wonder where that went. Dang it. Ah. But they've stolen our hearts. And hopefully they won't hit a bridge on the way out of town. All right, bringing up the rear, our final group of the day. Futurama coming up right after the Jawas. I hope they didn't steal Bender, but we're going to find out in just a moment. Futurama, because what's at the end of every good parade?
Robot Santa?
Robot Santa.
Normal Santa, right? Of course.
Normal Santa's for your average parade. We do things differently at Dragon Con. We've got Robo Santa. Your mistletoe is no match for his toe missile. Futurama is another show that just keeps getting booted and then rebooted and then booted and then rebooted. It's got some series coming back now. And by the way, we got a new edition coming right after this truck. I want to make sure we get this group following Robot Santa because we added a small group. And it's only a small group because the rest of them are working right now. But behind our jolly old Robo-Elf is going to be a small group of our Dragon Con volunteers. They're representing everybody else because, and as the sign says, they were busy. Dragon Con has over 2,000 volunteers. I am proud to be one of them, and I thank you for your service.
Don't go anywhere. We're going to wrap things up when we return. Don't forget, Atlanta 69 is the place to be Monday, September 16th for the Atlanta Falcons and Philadelphia Eagles game. The broadcast begins at 7 with our pregame show, and kickoff is at 8. That's the Falcons versus Eagles, September 16th at 7 p.m. on Atlanta 69. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
What a great parade.
That was awesome.
So what's your favorite part?
I was a little disappointed that the Deadpools didn't. I lost the over-under on that one. Sorry, Vegas. But I think that a lot of the Deadpools just had too much Dragon Con fun last night. We'll see them in force this evening. Star Trek really showed up this year. Star Wars showed up this year. The Jawas vibe was awesome. I like the fact that Ghostbusters were back in force, more vehicles than I were expecting. Seeing the Mystery Men roll up, that's one of my favorite little cult superhero movies. But my favorite thing, honestly, was the volunteers repping at the end. I'm glad they didn't make them push brooms in the parade. That's why we had Scruffy. He's the janitor. But I like the fact that the whole con got represented in a nice, tight little package. It's a great way if you're not, it's a great introduction to the convention without a lot of the convention, right? If you're worried about the indoor spaces, the people, this is just a great way to get the vibe, and I think that's how you kind of got into it, right? Seeing it out here wanted to bring you closer into it.
Well, here's my favorite part, being with you.
Oh,
because your knowledge is encyclopedic, and it is so deep and so wide. And I'm just grateful to be along for the ride because I learn so much every time I'm with you.
I learn every single year because it's something new for me, right? This is just a fraction. And there are people who know every single piece of it, but if it's anime, for instance, I know nothing about anime, right?
Yeah,
so
me either.
I know my 80s stuff, and that's really about it. And then every year I learn about something new from all those fans and such.
Yeah. We are really grateful for you joining us for the Dragon Con Parade, sponsored by Netherworld. Brian, it's been a joy to be with you.
Thank you, Jay.
It's been a blast, and we'll see you all next year.